I spent 2 years wanting to stop drinking before I actually stopped drinking. 2 years of telling myself, Noemi, you really need to cut back. 2 years of promising myself that I would finally have a dry month and then usually quietly giving up after a day or two. 2 years of waking up feeling like absolute shit and swearing that this time for real, it was the last time. And then doing it all again the following weekend. I genuinely wanted to change. I wasn't lying to myself. I really did want it. But here's what nobody told me. Wanting to change and being ready to change, they're not the same thing. And that distinction would have saved me years of shame spirals if I had understood it sooner. So in this episode, I'm breaking down why wanting to change and being ready to change are completely different things and what to actually do when you're stuck in that gap. Because it's not a willpower problem. You might not be at the stage of change you think you are. And once you understand which stage you're in, I promise you, my friend, everything shifts. Ready? Let's dive in.
Hey, I'm Noemi, former queen of bad habits and corporate go-getter turned well-being coach and personal growth junkie. And in a world full of overwhelming wellness advice, we're here to cut through the noise. This is your space to master healthy habits, transform your mindset, own your well-being, and design a life you love on your terms. We're ditching the highlight reels and embracing the whole messy, imperfect journey towards becoming our absolute best selves. You're the author of your own story. So are you ready to write the next chapter? Let's go, and welcome to Unwritten Potential.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Unwritten Potential with me, Noemi. I am so happy that you're here. While I am here in Salvador, Brazil, these are my last few days in Brazil before we head to Colombia. Honestly, I'm a bit heartbroken to be leaving Brazil. I cannot believe how much I've fallen in love with the country. The people are so friendly, really, really warm, despite the fact that my Portuguese is basically non-existent. The food is fabulous. The beaches are absolutely stunning. It's just everything I love wrapped into one country. There's music everywhere, rhythm. If you've been following, you know I DJ, I love music. It's just the best. I'm already planning our way back. There's a conference in Rio in May, so I might be back really, really soon. But for now, let's get into it because this one's a big one. And when I was training to be a health coach, I came across this framework that generally changed how I understand myself and how I understand behavior change, how I understand everyone I work with. It's called the Transtheoretical model of behavior change, developed by researchers Prochaska and Di Clemente. And it's kind of a classic framework model in behavior science. And what's absolutely brilliant is they studied how people actually transform their lives, not how the wellness industry wishes we did it, but how we actually do. And here's what they found. Change isn't a switch you just flip. It's a process you move through. And most people have no idea where they actually are in that process, which means most people are using the wrong approach for the stage they are at. And honestly, this was me for years about cigarettes, about alcohol, about exercising more, sleeping better. I was using the wrong tools for the wrong stage and usually beating myself up when they didn't work. So let me walk you through the 6 stages. And I want you to think about one habit you've been trying to build or one habit you've been trying to break and see if you can spot yourself. So the stage 1 is pre-contemplation. This is the stage where you're like, I don't need to change. You're not even thinking about it. Maybe other people have a problem with your habit, but you don't. Stage 2, contemplation. Here, you're like, I might change. You're thinking about it. You might be weighing the pros and cons, going back and forth. You know something isn't working, but you're not quite ready to do anything about it. The stage 3 is preparation. So now you're like, okay, I will change, just not quite yet. So you have made a decision, but maybe you don't have an actual start date. Stage 4, action. Okay, now I am changing. This is where you're actually doing the thing. You're showing up, you're making it happen. Stage 5, maintenance. This is where you're like, I have changed. Now you've got a few months of sustained behavior under your belt and the habit is part of your life. And then the final stage, 6, termination. I am changed. The old behavior isn't even a temptation anymore. You have assumed a new identity. And here's what surprised me, hit me hardest when I learned about this model. When I started looking back, I realized how often I thought I was in the action stage, but actually I was still in contemplation. My planner brain was setting goals, dry January, sober October, let's do this, yay. But my actual self, the one who had to execute those goals when stressed or feeling overwhelmed or bored, she wasn't ready. She was still weighing up whether change was even worth it. I kept designing plans for someone in action, but really I was someone in contemplation. So no wonder nothing worked. And this is where it gets interesting because there's a stat here that should make you feel so much better. 80% of people who try to change a behavior will relapse at least once. That's not a failure rate. That's just the rate. That's what change actually looks like for most humans. And yet, every time we fall off, we act like something went catastrophically wrong. Like we're uniquely terrible at this. Like everyone else gets it right on the first time, the first attempt, and we're the only ones who can't stick to anything. But most people don't move through these stages in a straight line, right? You loop back, you revisit, you spiral, something goes wrong. That's not you being bad at habits. That's just how humans work. Okay, so what do we actually do about this? Here's the thing. The approach that works depends entirely on where you actually are, not where you wish you were. So let me break this down. If you're in contemplation, if you're still weighing things up, going back and forth, you don't need another action plan, my friend. You need to get honest about what's really holding you back. Here's what that can look like. Grab a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. One side, write what I would gain if I changed. On the other, what would I lose if I change? And be brutally honest about that second column because there's always something. For me with alcohol, the lose column was really long. I'd lose my stress relief, my rewards at the end of a hard day. The version of me who was fun at parties until I was so wasted, I was absolutely not fun at parties, but that's another story. I didn't want to admit any of that. But until I did, I couldn't actually move forward. That ambivalence you keep feeling is not a character flaw. It's trying to tell you something. And until you actually listen to it, you'll keep starting and stopping forever. If you're in preparation mode, you've decided, but you keep postponing, you don't need more research, more books, more podcasts, more courses, more getting ready. You need to stop planning and start a tiny experiment. Today, not Monday, today. What is the smallest possible version of this habit you could do in the next 24 hours? If you're in action, but keep slipping back, you're not failing. What's happening is exactly what the research says happens. The question isn't why can I not stay consistent? It's how do I recover faster the next time? What would a 24-hour quick recovery look like instead of a 2 to 3 week spiral? And if you're in maintenance, don't get complacent. What's the one thing most likely to knock you off course in the next month? Design for it now while you're feeling steady. All right, so here's your experiment for this week. And I love this one because it cuts right through the bullshit. Pick a habit you've been trying to build. The first thing is rate your readiness to actually change it right now. 1 to 10. Be honest. Not where you think you should be, where you actually are. Then here's a question that changes everything. Ask yourself, why didn't I say a lower number? If you said 4, why not 3? If you said 6, why not 5? When you answer this, you have to articulate the part of you that does want to change. You hear yourself making the case for your own readiness. That's where the real reflection happens. And then finally, what would need to be true for you to be 1 number higher? Not 5 numbers higher, just one number up. What would move you from a 4 to a 5, from a 6 to a 7? Because that answer, that's your next step. It's not the whole plan, just the next step. Change is about matching your approach to your actual stage, not the stage you wish you were at, not the stage your fantasy self lives in, but the one you're actually in right now with your real life and real constraints. So let me ask you this. Which stage are you in? Thank you so much for being here with me today. If this resonated, please share it with someone who's been stuck in that start-stop cycle. And if you're not subscribed yet, you can find me, my newsletter, my podcast at unwrittenpotential.com. Take care of yourself. Much love. And I'll see you next week from Colombia.